Okay. Hello everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Yovita Manuela as today's webinar's moderator. Our topic today is a very interesting topic. We will talk generally about harassment. In this session, we hope to increase our knowledge about what is that exactly harassment, what's the examples of it, how to stop it, how to prevent it, and so on and so on. In addition, we will also be trained on how to deal with harassment. We hope after watching this webinar, all of you could gain something more than before and could give benefits to all the people around you. I ensure the webinar will be profitable and the next few hours will be enjoyable and fruitful for every one of you. Today's speaker is Mr. Muhammad Kamraan. He is from Peshawar, Pakistan, currently a student of law at University of Peshawar. And also, he's the Youth Minister for Human Rights at Provincial Youth Assembly, KP. Well, without further ado, let us welcome today's webinar speaker, Mr. Muhammad Kamraan, to this meeting. Mr. Muhammad Kamraan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Arfiana. Good afternoon, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Kamran, as she said. So today we are gonna talk about one of my I won't say that favorite topic because it's sad that this topic has emerged so much into the society, and we see it every day, and like every year hundreds and thousands of cases are registered like this, and there are so many which are still not registered. So I'm gonna share the screen with you, and then we can start. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Can someone please okay. So as you said about me, that I'm from Peshawar. Peshawar is actually my city, and from Pakistan. I'm currently a law student. I'm doing law. I'm in my fourth year. Besides this, I'm also a social worker. I won't say that such that active, because I have so many friends who are more active than me, but I'm just being a part of it, right? Then after with that, I'm the youth minister for human rights at the Provincial Youth Assembly, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Uh, I will first tell you about the Provincial Youth Assembly, that how we work. So Provincial Youth Assembly is actually a model government, right? We have our government, and the difference between our government and the real government is that the real government is for 4 years, and we have only 1 year tenure. So each year we elect our chief minister, then our speaker, and then they choose their cabinet. They amongst us, the members, as ministers. So I have been privileged to be the human rights minister for this year, and this was all about the Provincial Youth Assembly. Now, moving on towards the topic harassment. So, being the human rights minister, I think harassment is one of the issue that we face every day. Like, so many cases are registered, and so many other cases which are not even registered. People doesn't even know about it, and why some are registered, some are not, why people we cannot overcome this thing. Inshallah, we'll be talking about all this in a few minutes. So let's take a formal start. Introduction to harassment. See, despite being the national and international issue, there is no exact definition of harassment. Like, let me tell you that there are thousands of like not just thousands, but there are a lot of efforts going on the national as well as on international level to eliminate harassment from the societies, from our cities, from our countries. But still, there is no exact pinpoint definition about harassment. But still, let's talk generally. So, generally, in the international instruments, they just refer it as violence against women, right? Or discriminatory treatment. But whereas on international, on sorry, on national level, it's illegal treatment simply, and that is because on international level we focus more on the violence, on the rights of people, whereas on national level we focus more on our laws that nobody breaks it. That is why on national level we call it illegal treatment. Now, the undeniable facts which I found in these things, and I think most of you will agree with me, especially the girls, because they are the ones who are much prone to it and who face such situations a lot, like more than boys at least. So, despite the fact that there is no specific definition for harassment or something like that, but there are these two undeniable facts which you will all agree, and that is number one, that it's unwanted. Whatever it is, we don't care about it. If it's illegal treatment, if it's some kind of violence against someone, we don't care about that. It's unwanted. The victim, she didn't want it, right? And secondly, it causes a lot of harm to the victim, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, and at last, the physical one. Remember, I'm not talking about the actual rape, right? So the physical harm is not that much in harassment. It's just that emotional and psychological or mental harm that is caused to the victim. And believe me, if someone is hurt physically, that would heal in a maybe a week or 2 weeks, and that's it. But the harm that is caused emotionally to the victim, believe me, it can last for years and years, maybe lifelong. It's really hard to get out of all these things, at least on emotional level or mental level. So, coming towards the European Union also had put some introduction to the harassment, and they said that it is the unwanted conduct of sexual nature or any other nature based on sex, affecting the dignity of the women. Let's open it up. So it's number one, they say it's the unwanted conduct of sexual nature. And then they say, or any other nature. Like if it is of any other nature, but it's an unwanted conduct based on sex, affecting the dignity of of the victim, it will be harassment. And then they say that it can be physical, it can be verbal, it can be non-verbal. That is visual. The physical harassment, we know that uh, if someone tries to approach you physically, that is the physical harassment. There is no big deal in it. Verbal. Verbal harassment is that kind of harassment where someone, for example, cracks a joke on you. They pass such kind of remarks that is offensive to you, right? And then the non-verbal or the visual. So the non-verbal or the visual category, I would say that this is some kind of showing pictures to you, explicit videos. If the person is sending you or showing you some kind of, the pornography, pornographic videos or something like that. So I would include those kind of things into the visual category. Then, in short, conduct is considered sexual harassment if it is number one, unwanted, improper, or offensive. If the person didn't want it, and the person, and by person I mean the victim, right? If the victim didn't want it. Number two, if the victim found it improper or offensive, that would be sexual harassment. Number two, if the victim's acceptance or the refusal will affect the conduct. See, now this is the main thing. If the victim accepted it, nothing would have happened. But if she refused it, this happened. That is why it is called the harassment, because if the acceptance and refusal was the same, then it wouldn't amount to be the harassment. I will give you an example that if see, for example, if there's a boy and he wants to talk to a girl, right? And uh, he goes to her and he tries to talk to her, but she doesn't allow it. She refuses to talk to her. If the boy stepped back, nothing would have happened. See, her acceptance and refusal is the same. Like it doesn't affect the conduct. But what if she refused and the boy tried to harass her somehow, physically, verbally, non-verbally, whatever it is? Now the acceptance and the refusal is not the same. Acceptance was much more pleasant, whereas the refusal, it's much more violent. That is why I included this point that the victim's acceptance and the refusal will affect the conduct. I hope you guys are getting it. And the third one is that if the conduct creates an intimidating, hostile, or humiliating environment for her, see, this is I told you in the second point, this is its extension. That if she refuses and the boy creates some kind of intimidating, hostile, or humiliating environment for her, that means that, right, this is amounting now to harassment. That is why I included these 3 points because they were kind of really important to me. Now, harassment in relation to person's gender. This is really important to know this point. And harassment in this kind of relation, it has a range of behaviors or actions. It has a lot of behaviors, right? So expression of sexuality has a wide range of activities in this specific society or situation. And this specific society or situation means a lot here. Like it varies from society to society and situation to situation. Maybe in a specific society, there is something which is all normal, but the same act will not be normal. Rather, it would amount to harassment in another society. Same goes for the situation. If if in one situation the act is considered normal, but there can be situations where the same act will not be considered normal. Rather, it will amount to harassment, either sexual or non-sexual, whatever it is. Therefore, sometimes an innocent act may also be harassment, such as talk or a joke. For example, as I earlier gave you an example that a boy wants to talk to his classmate, and he approaches her again and again, knowing the fact that she doesn't want to talk to me. That means he is now crossing his own limits. We do not want that here, right? And he still goes to her and talks to her, or I would say tries to talk to her. That means that it's now getting to harassment's level. Or a joke, how can a joke be a harassment? So see, if I'm sitting with my friends and I know that one of my female classmates is sitting at a distance but she can hear us, and I crack a joke with my friends on her hair or her height or her skin color or something like that, so that would amount to harassment here. And please do not mix this with racism or bullying. That is something else. That is specifically attacking someone's skin color or someone's race or something like that. But here you just want to embarrass her with whatever way it is. So this was some innocent acts which may also amount to harassment, whereas other serious and illegal conducts such as forced fondling, attempt to actual rape, sexual assaults, etc. We all know they are already included in harassment, but the confusion lies within these innocent acts, and all are harassment because they all constitute the conducts of sexual nature. I told you earlier that. So, qualifications of harassment in relation to sexual nature of the offender. The first one is deliberate. Please notice the almost in every cases here. I didn't write in every case. I wrote almost in every case. That means that if we see it in, in the percentage, so it will amount in, it will be there in maybe in 90% cases. But still there are 10% cases where the deliberate qualification will not be there. But for now we can just go with it. So the first one is deliberate. It is always and necessary. Remember, I have written always with, almost with you with it, right? So that you wouldn't get confused. The second one is repeated. This is not at all necessary, right? This is just for a few cases. It is always, it is not always, and is not necessary at all, right? Remember that you do not wait for an act to happen again and again to you. This is only for those acts which actually amount to harassment in phases. Like if a person does it for once, it's fine. If he does it for the second time, it's still fine. But if he goes on doing it again and again, then it will amount to harassment. That is why I included this one. For example, I will again go to refer to the example which I gave you, that if I want to talk to my classmate again and again, but she doesn't want to talk to me. So it's fine if I go to her for the first time and she refuses to talk. Okay, it's fine. If I go to her the second time, maybe she would again refuse me in a clear cut words that I don't want to talk to you. It's fine. But if I keep on doing this every day and then for weeks and weeks, that means I'm repeating the same thing again and again, and it will amount to harassment. The third one and the most important one is it wouldn't have happened if victim had another gender. This is something which I wanted to you to know. See, that is why I included this sexual nature of the offender. If the person had another gender, this wouldn't have happened. For example, a boy does something to that girl. Now, let's suppose the boy was of another of gender. Like for example, if the boy was a girl, so would that have happened? The answer is, I guess not. Let's take it from another side, from the victim's side. If that victim who was a girl, if it wouldn't, if she wouldn't have been a girl and she wouldn't be a boy, if she would be a boy, what happened then? What would have happened then? I guess this wouldn't have happened at all. They both would have talked for a while, laughed, had fun, and then would have left. So both their genders are really important. One of them was male, the other one of them was female. That is why it happened. So now, first two can be ignored in some situations. This is what I meant. The conduct, which is based on the person's gender, means that the behavior was related specifically to the gender of the individuals involved in the incident. Again, what I told you a minute ago, that this happened just because their genders, like the offender who did it, he did it because he was a boy, and the victim who saw it, who went through it because she was a girl. It wouldn't have happened if they both weren't the same gender as they were, right? So talking about the victim, we can say that the behavior occurred because of the gender of the victim. That's why I say that third one is the most important one. And I'm saying her again and again because in the picture of the victim, I have a girl, because we all know that mostly such cases happen against girls and boys does it. But I wouldn't say that all the 100% happens like this. No, sometimes boys also gets harassed, and they also get humiliated, offended. Like girls can do such an act to embarrass them, to humiliate them, but in most cases it's the other way around. That's why in all my examples I gave you the picture of boy harassing a girl, but this doesn't mean that all the world has this problem. There are a lot of issues with the boys too, where the girls would come and harass or sometimes like just humiliate boys. But I'm just giving you a general view. So that is why I'm keeping the example of a girl being harassed, right? Now, sexual harassment about sex or power. So as we can imagine, it's only about the abuse of power, right? It's never about the romantic sexual actions. It's always about aggression. And we know that aggression, what aggression is, it's nothing more than the abuse of power. If someone is in power, for example, the abuse of power can be in many ways, like using position, relation, and sometimes the actual physical power. So let's open the last one. Using of power in like position. How? Position in what sense? Position in such a sense where there's a boss of a company, and he has a lady, a female, in her in his office, and he asks her for sexual favors again and again for the raise in the pay, or maybe for promotion, or for any other favor in the office. But in exchange, he is asking for such uh, favors from her. That is the abuse of position, like the wrong use of your position, right? Secondly, in the relation, how can one use his relation to harass someone? See, this is really simple. That if there is a couple, they are girlfriend and boyfriend, and the girlfriend wants to leave, what the boyfriend does is that he tries to humiliate her, or uh, you know blackmail her, because he has some of her personal stuff, his yes, her personal stuff, and she, without wanting it, has to stay with him, because sorry, so because she doesn't have any other way. So that's the abuse of relation. I was talking to a friend of mine. She lives in the Central America, and what she told me was that we were discussing this harassment, and she told me that in the pandemic, the cases of harassment has increased. So I was like, how is that possible? Because all the public places are closed. We were in the lockdown. Everyone was at home, right? So how can these issues raise in number in the pandemic? That seems impossible to me, at least. So I was really shocked when she told me that how that happened. She said that yes, everyone was at home, and this happened because they were at home. And I was like, how? And she said that daughters were harassed by their fathers, right? Girls were harassed by their actual fathers. They were harassed by their uncles, by their relatives. See, now this is the abuse of power in the sense of the relation. They are in their relation. Like, how would a father do that to his daughter? That's so mean, isn't it? It's so cheap. It's so bad. And uncles doing that to his their niece and their relatives, like they are almost of their daughter's ages, and they do it to them. So that's so humiliating even to know about that. But that does exist. That happens. That is why I included this clause and this relation here. And sometimes the actual physical power. So it's really easy to know that physical power can be an abuse in the actual sense, like when a boy approaches to a girl and uses his physical power against her. So that is in this sense. So let's move on. Confusion in the sexual invitation and the sexual harassment. This is a kind of a confusion which is with the all the gender, with both the genders all over the earth, all over the world. So everywhere, boys as well as girls, they are confused within the sexual invitation and the sexual harassment. So it is very important to examine the sexual aspects because sexuality is often used as justification, right? This confusion is, as I said, among both the genders, and this is really common. Often an expression of male's interest and the form of showing flattering sexual intentions. For women, they do this, the sexual invitation. They use this sexual invitation to show their desires to the women. And okay, that's fine. If and let's read out the next one, that sometimes it may get vulgar, but essentially harmless romantic games. It it's hard to differentiate this and the actual harassment. So see, if the boy is interested in the girl and he wants to show his interest in whatever context it is, he wants to show his interest to the girl, he would do these kinds of acts, but in their limits. As I've told you that talking can also be harassment, but if it exceeds that limit, so this is that limit. The limit is the invitation, but when that invitation gets exceeded, it gets harassment. For example, if there is a boy and he wants to talk to the girl, or he likes a girl and he wants to, show that kind of intentions to her, and he does that. He shows that intention by talking to her, or maybe smiling to her, or sitting at a distance but talking about her. So there can be a lot of ways where he can show his intentions, but the problem is that he doesn't know where I have to stop. That's the real test of it. So the link between both is the use of power. Again, the thing which I told you earlier, this is its conclusion. How it can be the use of power. See, when the person wants to talk to the girl, he goes and talks to her. He would approach her, right? What if she rejects for the first time, for the second time? The invitation is completed. It's over now. He does it one more time, and it's harassment. And now he actually does that with the use of power. If she wants to insult her, the boy would, use his, as I've told you, these three kinds of power. If like the boy would use his physical power, or his position, or his relation to the girl, and somehow he would try to get some advantage of her, or he would ask some favors from the girl. So that is where he left his limits, and he went into the harassment level. So this is really confusing because, see, because either it's against her will, or she's willing, being under some pressure. Both is harassment. One cannot say that because of the use of power, I got her will, and now she is willingly doing this. No, didn't give you, that wasn't a free will. That was a will, but under some pressure. You had blackmailed her, or you would have done something like that, and because of that, she is now willing. So I included both. If it's against her will, or if it's the will was taken under some pressure, both would be harassments. So this confusion prevents a woman from reacting to harassers with strong and effective countermeasures. See, this is something which hurts me a lot, that a girl can doesn't even know how to react to it. Like the boy would be so nice to her that the girl doesn't know that if it was just an invitation or it was actually a harassment. So as I've told you that the example of talking again, trying to talk again and again. So the girl doesn't know that, okay, he just wants to talk to me. What's so bad in it? Whereas it amounts to harassment. And if he goes to the girl and grabs her hand, that's a clear cut, that's also harassment. But the girl would say that, okay, he was just interested in me, that's why he did it. So that is why I said that the confusion is among both the genders, the offenders as well as the victims. Both of them, they cannot differentiate between both the invitation and the harassment. Like, the girl or the victim doesn't know that if he is just uh, showing his intention to me, or is he harassing me in real. So this confusion should be reduced. And let's talk about the reasons later on. Now we will move on to, yeah, reasons of harassment. The reason why I chose this topic, and why I wanted to talk on it, because I wanted to put in front of you these reasons of harassment. And I searched a lot about harassment on the internet, and these reasons are something which I concluded on myself personally. These are the reasons which personally I think that they can be good reasons for harassment. And if we tried to, if we try to reduce these reasons, inshallah, let's hope that we can control these harassment cases which we see every day in our societies. So the first one is the wrong social savvy. Savvy, what's a savvy? Savvy is actually the power of judgment, the way you judge something. And the social savvy means the social issues. When we judge the social issues, being the young generation of today's world, we are so much interactive, right? We interact day and night with our age fellows, with our uh, school fellows, university fellows, our classmates, our teachers, our everyone. So we are now into the social life. We have a lot of big circles in our social lives, each one of us have. And we make judgments on our own, which relates to social issues and social problems. And sometimes when these judgments gets wrong, they are called the wrong social savvy, like misreading of the signals. For example, as I've written there, that man considers politeness as likeness. See, if I have a classmate and someday she comes to me and she sits right next to me, right? And we both have a chat. She talks to me really politely. What I do is that I think she likes me. I think that she has feelings for me in her heart. And I make so many thoughts in my mind, and I judge her that, I say that my judgment can't be wrong. She actually does like me, and she smiled at me. She talked to me without any reason, this and that. But believe me, my brothers and sisters, that's a wrong social savvy. The girl wouldn't have any of such thoughts in her mind. Maybe she just smiled at you because uh, you seemed her brother. You seemed like her brother to her, right? She has a brother and he looks exactly like you. Maybe that's why she would have smiled at you, or maybe because of some other such an innocent reason. She smiled at you or talked to you politely. That doesn't mean that she likes you. And once we make a judgment, we say that it's the final judgment. It can never be wrong, but it can always be wrong. We are, after all, humans. We can make wrong decisions. So when the boy thinks all night that she likes me, then the other day, what he will do is, now he will approach to her. He will try to go to her and talk to her and commit such acts which will amount to harassment later on. So if he wouldn't have such wrong savvies, that wouldn't have happened. So the first thing that I think that we should reduce these judgments. You can just directly go and ask her that why did you smile at me? Why are you interested in me? Like, we should be blunt. We should be direct. The second one is superiority complex in men. Superiority complex in men is really common nowadays, and uh, I was watching a video on the YouTube about this, and a lady was saying this. She was mentioning this reason for the harassment, and she gave an example of, with all due respect, she gave an example of the Donald Trump's family, president of the United States, right? So she said that in their family, I will quote her. She said that in their family, all the males think they are somehow superior to women. They think they can do anything they want, even if they go and they grab a girl's hand, if they try to do something even worse than that, whatever they want to do, they can do. And this superiority complex, generally talking about it, superiority complex can be because of having a a white skin, maybe because a good height, maybe because being a rich guy, the boy gets superior, and like he wouldn't get superior after all, but he thinks he gets superior. So superiority complex can be because of so many reasons, and the boy cannot go around saying that I am a handsome guy and I can do anything. No, that's wrong. I have seen boys who think like that. Personally, I have seen that kind of boys who think that I am handsome, I am rich, I have, I have a car of my own, a luxurious car, so I can do anything. But that's wrong. No, no one can go around do anything. Everyone has their own personal will. So this was the superiority complex, which is completely wrong, and a boy should never think about that. This reason for this reason was actually for the boys to know that please consider everyone humans. We all are humans. We are not things that we should be used. I'm not just talking about the girls, but the boys. Everyone has their own life. No one is a thing. They are humans. We all are humans. The third one is the lack of education. Whenever we talk about this issue, we are afraid of it. We cannot discuss it openly in our societies because, in most societies, and I wouldn't hesitate to say that including mine, including my own society, discussing this is a taboo. We cannot discuss it openly. We cannot even discuss it in front of our parents. And girls or even boys, they are afraid to mention this in front of their parents. They cannot even tell this to their parents that something bad happened to me, because this is because of us, because of maybe our elders, because of our generation, that we are afraid to talk about it. This is the reason that I chose this topic, so that we can just discuss it, we can talk about it, and by talking and listening to it, we get used to it, so that tomorrow, if God forbid, I wouldn't want this to happen to anyone, uh, but if something that bad happens to you, we can just talk about it, and this would enable you that you can just go and talk to your parents. And upon this, my fourth reason is also based, and that is the hush hush societies. See, all of these are, for example, this wrong social savvy and the taboo thing, this hush hush societies, they are different approaches, right? And different minds have such approach. And I have read this in a book, this hush hush society's logic. Hush hush society, you know, hush hush society means that I have just simply written one word beneath it, that is shh. I wish I could show you myself doing it, but I will show you later on, inshallah. So hush hush society means don't tell anyone. What will they think? Don't talk to anyone about it. No, don't tell your parents. That doesn't work right here. We shouldn't be doing it like that. We are actually living in the harsh societies, but we should take ourselves out of it. It doesn't mean that if we live in such a society where talking about such thing is bad, so we shouldn't be talking about it. No, we should, I guess, change our minds. See, I will give you two options, and you all have to think which one is better and which one is not. In the first place, something bad happens to you, and on the second option, people get to know about that. What is worse? In both the in both the options, if I ask you to select, that which one would you select? That something bad happening to you, or the people getting knowing about it? I think people getting knowing about it, that's better. Like, I would prefer this one, because if something bad happens to me, what do I care about people? I should care more about something happening bad to me. I should not select that one. So I have seen people who would prefer something bad happening to them over people getting known. Like, they think that it's okay if something has happened to us, but people shouldn't know. That's wrong. And that is because of us. So we should get ourselves out of this kind of thinking. The fifth one is revenge. This is where the prey becomes the predator. The person who is doing all these things, he must have, faced such things in his past. And then once it has happened, and this doesn't happen over one time or two time or thrice or four times or whatever, it happens through a long course of time. He would have he would have been harassed again and again by his maybe family members, by in his school, in his by his teachers, by whatever it is. But he would have got harassed again and again, and that is why he now himself has got to be a predator, and he is doing it now to other girls. Number six, wanna be modern and losing control later on. See, it's when a person is from a stone age. I just added up to give you a view of it. That it's when a person is from stone age but tries to act as if he's from future. That is 2050. See, when a person is from a small village, or I will give you an example of uh, see, if I'm a boy and I live in Pakistan, Pakistan is an Islamic state, right? It's not that open. That we have beaches here in Pakistan, but the beaches, they are not that open as they are there in the US. Like, women, they do not wear bikinis here, right? They go there, yeah, a lot of people go there every day, but in a proper dress up. So what if I go to the US and I go to the beach? Now, what am I doing? I'm trying to be modern, right? I just want to tell them that it's fine. I have always been in in this kind of life, whereas I have not been. So I am from Pakistan, and I go to the US and I go to the beach and I try to, talk to a girl wearing that kind of open dress. What am I doing? I'm just convincing myself that it's okay, I'm modern enough, oh, it's okay, I can handle it. But there comes a point where I start losing control over myself. And in that situation, after all, we are humans, and in that situation, I try to grab her hand, or I try to do something even worse than that to her. That means that I have lost control over myself. And this is what has been happening in every country, I think. That we say that, okay, we are modern enough, let's do this. Okay, we are modern enough, let's do that. And at the end of the day, we lose control over ourselves, and the whatever we promised that we will do, we are unable to do that. Rather, a lot of cases of harassments and a lot of such cases are reported. So I think that we should first get used to it. If I go to the US, I should first get used to it, that how life is here, right? So, and I gave you an example of it just to give you the idea of it. Otherwise, I'm proud to be in my own country. Alhamdulillah. So, seventh one is opening up in front of a wrong person. This is really a dangerous one because it is when you open up to a person and he is really a friend of yours, right? You tell him that this is my weakness, that is my weakness. Whenever I see this, I get weak. I feel bad about it. And you tell him all your weaknesses. And after knowing all your weaknesses, he will attack on it because he knows that you get weak because of these. And he will then do whatever he wants, right? This was the seventh one. Please remember the seventh one because there is one of the harassers, kinds of harassers, in which I will mention this one, the seventh one. And the eighth one, in my opinion, this is one of the biggest reasons of harassment, and that is the consumption of pornography. If you go to on Google and search the consumption of pornography, you will see a lot of countries consuming a lot of these things annually. Boys, especially, they think it's real, where it's all scripted and fake. If you go and research on it, like uh, not just watching it, but just if someone goes and research on it, they will get to know that this is all fake, this is all scripted. And believe me, most of our boys, I have seen, I have, not seen, but I got to know such cases where boys have done harassments after watching these. Like, they get motivation from it. They think that if I grab someone's hand, she might get interested in me and she might fall for me. And no, that's fake. These things doesn't work like this. You cannot get someone's attention by showing your power to her or showing your maleness to her. Your maleness should be inside you. So, and again, I would say that I just use these examples, but yeah, there are even men who gets harassed. And I yes, there are also children who gets harassed, but that's child abuse. That's another scenario. So let's just stick to our topic, that is harassment. So mostly girls gets harassed, and these were the eight reasons, which I think that they are the biggest reasons to, you know, uh, make such kind of situation where girls mostly gets harassed. Now getting towards the types of harassers. So the first one is the macho man or the macho man. In our language, we call it the macho man. So when groups of men embarrasses women with comments and even physical evaluation and display of sexual distasteful posters, disrespectful posters. Sorry, this one. So it is when a boy, shows some kind of some things of, as I said, maleness to them, and he tries to embarrass her with his comments or physical evaluation. Like, for example, if I'm sitting in my class and a girl comes inside and I say that, oh, she's so short-heighted, look at her hair, look at her skin, look at her face. So this is a person who would always try to be an alpha man, but instead he gets to be a harasser. The second one is that the great gallant. So they would pay excessive compliments and make personal comments that are out of the place or embarrasses the recipient. Human need some appreciate recognition and genuine compliments, right? Comments focused on the appearance. It is again the kind of a person who would make personal attacks on you. Like, he would kind of know about you and he's kind of a close person to you. So he knows some of your, personal stuff. Like, if there is some family problem going on at your home and you go to college and this person knows it, he would try to uh, say that in front of other people just to make you embarrassed. And instead, as I said, he would try to be funny, but instead he gets to be a harasser. The third one is the opportunist, usually fairly uh, promiscuous in his attentions to female staff, suppliants, and clients. So the opportunist is that he would kind of be a friend to you, right? As I've told you, the seventh point, that please remember that it's this one, and he relates to it, that if a person is a friend to you, he knows about you, and you know about him too. But the thing is that you cannot go to his level, and he knows that whatever tell her, she would not reply me. So what he does is that one someday when he's sitting with his friends and you go to him, he would pass some comments which are actually, uh, which are actually bad, which are uh, violent. So just to make you uncomfortable, he would say this, and he would even, sometimes he would grab your hand or do something bad to you. He would try to be, he would try to find an opportunity to do something to you. The power player. So insists on the sexual favors in exchange for benefits he can dispense. This is, I talked about this earlier, that when a boss tries to, asks for sexual favors or anything like that. So when a person again and again, because of any reason, because of being your boss, because of being your friend, because of being your relative, anything like that, he asks for favors again and again, and not just favors but sexual favors. So that is why the fourth one I put it here in the power player, that he is a person who would try to give you offers, that you give me such favors and I will give you some promotion or something, or a better pay, or I can give you this, or I can give you that. But he would try to do it openly, like as if it's a kind of a challenge, that do this for me and I'm going to do this for you. The fifth one, the serial harasser. This is really a dangerous one. He is kind of a person who will do these things wherever he goes, and that can be maybe because as told you in the reasons, that the person, the where the prey becomes a predator, maybe because of the reason that once he was harassed a lot, he has been bullied a lot, he has faced such situations in so many places, that now he has got to be a serial harasser. He will know, it doesn't matter if you report him, it doesn't matter if you talk against him, he will never stop. So it's better just to stay away from such kind of a person. And the sixth one is that the situational harasser. Situational harasser is that kind of a harasser who is a nice guy, who is the Mr. Nice Guy, who is never such kind of a person who will never do that. But sometimes, because of, any reason, because of losing control of over himself, and as I've written, in alcoholism or Alzheimer's or anything like that, because of such reasons, his brain is not his brain is out of control, like he cannot control himself, and he commits such an offense. Still, I would again say, try to avoid these kind of persons, right? Try to open up your mind and see what is happening in your surroundings. So situations to me are these ones. The first one is the prevention. So prevention is better than cure. You would always have heard it. So prevention is that just open up your eyes, see, observe whatever is happening, and uh, take a note of everything and everyone who is doing what. And as I give you these categories of harassers, you can just see that if someone is coming in these circles or not. I'm not saying that every boy is that kind of a boy and everyone can do that to you. No, absolutely not. They are just a few in number, but we have to take care of ourselves. Second one is make anti-harassment policies and also follow them up. When we, as I've told you, that we need education. So when we make anti-harassment policies, what we are doing that, firstly, we are telling the harassers that be aware, we are now ready for it. And secondly, what we are telling to the victims, that is that if something, God forbid, happens to you, you can come up to us and we will manage it, right? The third one is that take such complaints very seriously. So when you have made such anti-harassment policies and you are working on it, now if someone comes to you that that person is harassing me in this way, or he is saying this to me, we shouldn't, make fun of it. We should take all of it very seriously. The fourth one is observe and pay attention to whatever is happening around you. As I've told you earlier, that we need to be open. Our eyes should always notice everything. We should, analyze everyone, what's happening around me, who is doing what. So that is how I guess we can somehow prevent this from happening, because if someone has to do it, he will do it. It's better to stay away from him, right? And resolve by seeking an advice if, God forbid, happens. If it happens to someone, you just don't have to be quiet about it. Like, I don't want to tell anyone. No, that's a wrong approach, completely wrong approach. You should go. You should, if not inform the authorities, you should tell someone. You should at least take someone's advice. It can be even a friend of yours. It can be, if you cannot tell both your parents, just tell your mother. Being a girl, I think girls are very open to their mothers. So you should be telling this to your mothers that this has happened to me, or this has been happening to me again and again. It's fine. It's okay. And believe me, do not care about do not care about the people. They will forget everything. What happens to you today, they will forget it, maybe in a week or a month, whatever time it is. So never care about them. Confront if can and possible. I think this one is really a hard one, because it's really hard to confront someone who has harassed you. But if you are strong enough, just confront him that, okay, this is now exceeding your limits. I cannot take this. Please stop it immediately, or I'm going to tell the authorities. Just go the person who is doing that to you and tell him that immediately stop, or I'm going to call the cops on you, or maybe tell some authorities or anything like that. And the last one is support. Support is for all those people who are around the victim. If, God forbid, something happens to a girl, she needs support. So firstly, she wouldn't tell anyone, but if she does tell anyone, this is now our duty to be with them. If someone tells you and finds you a close enough friend that she can tell you that, okay, this has happened to me, so it's now upon you that you should support her. Be there for her. Do not tell her that why this happened, how this happened. Just be there for her. Support her, help her out. And you can be someone's, life helper. Like, she will remember your help for all her life. She will remember the support you gave her for all her life, because not every day such acts are happening. Like, if something happens to a girl, this is maybe for once or for a very short time. This will not happen again and again. So whenever it happens to someone, be there for her. So conclusion is that harassment may occur if someone behaves in an unwelcome and uninvited way towards you, which is related to one of the protected characteristics and which has the purpose or effect of: number one, creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment for you. And number two, violating your dignity. Protective characteristics. Protective characteristics are your age, your gender, your race, anything like that. All these are your protective characteristics. So if someone, behaves an unwelcome and uninvited way towards you, and which is related to one of the protective characteristics, and he is creating an offensive environment for you, and the last one, secondly and the lastly, he is violating your dignity. If someone is violating your dignity, forget everything and remember one thing, that this is harassment, specifically if it is in unwelcome and uninvited way. So this was all about my presentation, and
Okay. Uh, Thank you for the clear explanation, Mr. Muhammad Kamran. It is very clear and useful for all of us, and we get a
thank
lot to
you.
learn too. And now we will open a Q&A session. The first question is I would like to ask you how to overcome the mass harassment among young people who often take it as a joke.
Who often get this as a joke.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yeah, this is a very basic question, and most of my points in the presentation is based on this one, that we do not even take this seriously. We think it's a big joke, and even sometimes when we talk about it, people smile at it. Like they say that, what? There is no problem like harassment at all, whereas there is a serious problem going on with everyone. So the first one is, I think, education, right? That we should be educating our young children and people from 17 to 18 of age and around that, because in that age, people, they get a mindset, they create their mindset, and they are going to have that mindset for the whole of their life. So before they make their mindset, we should tell them that, okay, this is a problem going on, and they will not believe it to be a problem until something happens to them in their circle. Like, not that to them personally, but if something happens to their, god forbid, if something happens to their sisters, if they're boys. So if something happens to their sisters or their other family members or some of their friends, they will believe it then. And if it's a girl and she doesn't believe it, she will believe it if a very near friend of her, or god forbid, if something happens to herself. And on your question, I will add up to this, that yesterday when I posted this poster and I shared this poster on my Instagram, one of my friend texted me, a female friend. She said that, why wasting your time on such an useless issue? I was like, this is not useless, this is really important. She said that, no, you should go for the political problems they are going on, and you should go for this and that. So I was thinking that, being a girl, how can she think this as useful thing? Like, this is not a useful topic to talk to. So I think that the young people needs to have some education, and they should not wait for things happening in their circle. They should take others pain as their own pain. Like, they should feel it. If something happens to someone other's sister, they should think that, what if something happened to my sister? And this is the awareness which I want to create, that everyone should think that, what if this happened to my sister, what will I do then? If something happened to my family member or a close friend of mine, what will I do? So with these thinkings, I think they will not find it funny, they will not find it something useless. They will think that, yes, this is useful.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Uh,
Yeah.
and then we move on to the next question. Uh, if
Yeah.
someone experience harassment and they too afraid to create a report to the police, what should they do?
Mhm. See, this is the problem that is going on with a lot of the victims. As I've told you that there are hundreds and thousands of cases reported annually. Rather, if I talk annually, there are going to be millions of cases. But the actual number is a lot more than this. These are only those who are just reported to the police or some authorities. Other than that, there are a lot of things happening around, but we do not know at all. And your question is a very good question, and a lot of girls need these kind of questions. So the thing is that, as I've told you, firstly, you have to have enough courage. You should think that if something bad happened to me, that is worse than people knowing about it. I gave you an example of two options. That the first one is that when something bad is happening to you, and the second one is that people knowing about it. Which one will you choose? If I tell you that someone harassing you or people knowing about it, of course you should select the people knowing about it. I don't care if people knows about it. What, like, the hell with people. Do not care about them. Never think about them. When, just when you are right, right, if you are correct, you are right, and you are innocent, you should not think about it. You should simply, if one cannot go to the authorities, we have friends in our life, and we know that which friend is a sincere friend and which friend is not a sincere one. Like, I don't want you to go to a wrong person and ask him that what should I do, because he will never tell you the right way. You should go to a sincere friend. And if you do not have any sincere friend, you can simply talk to your sister. If you do not have any sister such, you can go to talk to your mother. And if still you don't want to talk to your mother, just simply, this is a request from my side, please go to your fathers. Your fathers are your heroes, right? For daughters, mostly their fathers are like their superheroes. But so you should simply ask your father that, I am having an issue in my life, what should I do now? And inshallah, he will tell you what should you do. Because the simple thing is that we shouldn't be afraid of people. This is the thing which I hate, specifically in my society too. This happens a lot, that girls say that, okay, just let it go, I cannot face the people. Firstly, you should work on yourself. Secondly, find someone in your life, if not your sister or your brother with whom you are so close. And if not, you can simply go to your parents. And believe me, with your parents standing beside you, you can go against the whole world. A few people doesn't matter at all. The whole world standing against you, and your mother and your father standing with you, is enough. You do not need anyone else in your life. So this is a request from me. If God forbid, I wouldn't pray, I would never want anyone to face such situation. But if if still you go through such situations, this is a request from me. Please remember this moment, that go and speak up, because only then you will save someone else's life. If you do not speak up, you are going to ruin your life, as well as you're going to ruin so many other girls' lives, because this guy would go and he may do anything to anyone he wants. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Um, for the last questions, I would like to ask
Mhm.
our participants, are there any more questions from our participants today? If there is, you can unmute your microphone and ask it.
Okay, I have a question. So
Mhm.
my name is Catherine, and my question would be: what about young children? How how do they know that it's not okay if someone sexually harass them when they're don't even know what a sexual harassment is? You know, sometimes they're exposed to that kind of things at such young age, and they don't realize it until they're older. So that's my
Yes,
question. Thank
exactly.
you.
Exactly. So thank you for the question. So that is why I said in my presentation that this is a mistake of our elders. I think that maybe if our elders had told us in our very small age, we could have known this from a young age. And now this is our responsibility to talk about this in schools, and there are efforts going on in a lot of schools. Like, school children are so young. And secondly, this is kind of a, you know, in my thinking, in my approach, we should have a good relation with our children. We should educate the parents that have a good and friendly relation with your children. Like, if you tell them that I'm your enemy, how on earth will he be easy enough to tell you that something happened to me in school? You should be open with your children, and you should treat them as your friends, so that they will not be afraid of sharing anything with you tomorrow. So I think if a small kid who doesn't even know that what's happening to me, that is because of, first one is the mistake of the harasser, of course. But a harasser like that, where was he before doing that? He was among us, and this is our mistake. Why couldn't we reach him? We should have reached him before doing that. There are a lot of cases going around, even in my country, and annually there are so many cases registered. But the thing which I think is that where these harassers were before doing that, they were amongst us. Like, we were having them in our society, right? And they were walking around here and there just like us. But it was our mistake. Why couldn't we reach them? Specifically, like, personally, I think that why couldn't I, like, there was a case that happened near my city, so like inside my city near my home. So I think that this was my mistake, that I couldn't, tell people that you shouldn't be doing these things. Like, sometimes we think that we have no other way, and like, this is the end of the life, whereas that's not. And this is the case with the harassers. When they get to have such situations, they think that there is no other way but doing this, whereas there is a way. They can leave them, they can, they can have some mercy in their heart, they can have some humanity in their heart. And this issue is bigger than religion, than society, because I see in every religion, in every society, this has been happening. So one cannot blame religion for it, one cannot blame society, or the anything for it, the country, we cannot blame for it. Because if I talk about, I'll give you the example again of my country, Pakistan, which is I would say that yes, it is a religious country. And if someone says that this happens because of the religion, what about US? We know how US is, how open it is. I wouldn't criticize that. Okay, that's how it is. But why does it happens there? They have clubs there, they have beaches there, everything happens so openly. Why does that happen there then? So we cannot just we cannot say that this happens because of some specific reasons. But the simplest thing that I think we should educate our harassers before they do that. And we cannot say that, okay, this cannot be a harasser. The first thing that, when I talk to my friends about it, that this is a problem, and what would they say? They would get angry. Do we look harassers to you? Can we harass someone? That's the problem. We are not ready to accept that yes, we are harassers. Like, if a person comes from my society and he harasses some child, what's the thing? What's the conclusion of it? That means we all are harassers. That's all. That's how we all are. If we couldn't be good enough, we have to face the music. People will always say that these people, they have done that. So I think that we should create awareness about it. We should have awareness about it. And as I've said that, no one should say that I'm not a harasser, I don't harass. No one harasses. But when they come up with such situation, when they come up with the opportunity, sometimes they cannot let go of it. So the first thing is that educate our harassers before they do that. And secondly, let's have some friendly talk with our children, with our kids. Like, if they are not even of the age that they can be educated, that okay, this can happen, that can happen, but we can just simply say that uh, for example, I'll give you my example. My father used to tell me that do not take anything from someone whom you don't know, like a toffee. You know, toffee. It's something that's something very small. And I once went to my market, and everyone knew me. Like my father, they all knew us, right? So there was a guy standing beside me. I was a kid, small kid, maybe 6 years, 7 years. So he talked to me for a while and this and that. So I sounded a bit cute to him, maybe. So what he did was that he had a toffee in his hand and he gave it to me. That have this, because I talked to him for a while and he was smiling at me. So he gave me a toffee. He was a nice guy. My father even knew him. But when I came home, I told this to my father that this person gave me a toffee. He said, "Why did you take it? You shouldn't have took it." So we should have such relations with our children that whatever happens to them outside, they should come up with in telling you. Like they should not say that, oh, I shouldn't tell my father. What will he think? No. Whatever happens to you, you should tell your father. And this is the responsibility of the parents. They should treat them the way uh, like this how it goes. So I think this is upon us, and being parents, being the society members, and yes, this is all from my side.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kak Catherine
My
Sarafina,
pleasure.
for the questions, and thank you for the answer, Mr. Muhammad Kamran. And
Yeah, thank you.
are there any more questions from our participants today? Okay, I think that